We knew moving into a new neighborhood would bring some surprises, but we didn't expect to meet the self-appointed queen of the HOA Karen day one. My wife Amara and I had just finished unloading the last of the boxes into our new home when we heard the sharp ding-dong of our front doorbell. It wasn't the friendly kind. I opened the door to find a woman in her late 50s. Short bobbed haircut, clipboard in hand, lips pursed so tightly it looked like they were glued together. "You, the new homeowners?" she asked, not even bothering. With a hello, "Yes, we are." I'm Karen, president of the HOA. She pointed at the clipboard like it was a badge. "Your moving truck violated community parking regulations, and your wife was seen unloading boxes without clearance." Amara appeared beside me, wiping sweat from her forehead. "Clearance? For carrying my own stuff into my own house?" Karen's eyes narrowed. "We have rules here. This isn't a free-fall." I chuckled. "We closed on this house last week. Everything is legal, signed and filed. We're not violating anything." Karen clicked her pen furiously. "We'll see about that." She walked off muttering something about bylaws and board. Meetings, I turned to Amara and whispered, "Well, that was fast. Day one, and we've already got a nemesis." Amara smirked. She picked the wrong battle. You see, what Karen didn't know was that my wife isn't just someone you push around. She's a real estate attorney, and a damn good one. She's also the reason we snagged this property through a loophole in the HOA's original charter. Loophole they clearly weren't happy about. 20 minutes later, sirens and stairs. We had barely settled in and started unpacking the kitchen when we heard sirens outside. I stepped out to see 2 police cruisers pulling into the cul-de-sac. Our new neighbors were peeking through their blinds like it was a live TV show. 2 officers approached, one of them speaking into his radio. "Are you the residents at 142 Maple Lane?" "Yes," I replied. "Is everything okay?" The officer glanced at his notes. Got a 911 call reporting unauthorized occupation and a possible domestic dispute involving a woman forcibly entering the home. Amara stepped forward. "Excuse me, I own this home. I'm not forcibly entering anything." From behind the police cars, Karen strutted up like she was leading a parade. "That's her officer. I told you she didn't belong here. Oh, she's not on the official HOA registry. This home is part of my community. I demand she'll be removed until proper approval is filed." The younger officer raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, are you saying this woman broke into her own house?" Karen nodded furiously. "Exactly. I've seen her around, but she's not in any of the HOA files. This is a secure neighborhood." Before the officers could respond, Amara calmly reached into a folder on the counter just inside the front door and handed them a document. "This is the deed. I'm listed as Conor. You'll also find the legal exemption clause on the 3rd page, showing we're not bound by HOA bylaws under Section 4B, filed with the county 2 weeks ago." The older officer scanned the document, then looked at Karen. "This appears legitimate. Also, you said there was a domestic dispute? Because if there's no violence or threat, we have no grounds to intervene." Karen flushed. I thought she was breaking in. You made a false 911 call," the officer said flatly. "That's a misdemeanor offense." The crowd of nosy neighbors had grown at the end of their driveways. Whispers passed between them like wildfire. Did Karen really call the cops on new homeowners? She's finally losing it. But the moment that flipped everything, Amara reached back into her folder and handed Karen a thick stack of papers. "Since you like documents, here's one more. This is a formal notice. You've been violating multiple state housing codes and illegally enforcing HOA rules that expired due to charter technicalities. The owners of 5 other homes have joined us in a petition to dissolve the HOA board." Karen blinked. "Wow, what is this?" "Eviction papers from your position," Amara said smoothly. "Filed this morning. We've already spoken to the county clerk. Your misuse of HOA funds and discriminatory behavior are being reviewed." The officers looked at each other, clearly surprised. One of them murmured, "Well?" That escalated quickly. Karen's face turned sheet white. She tried to speak, but no sound came out. She turned and stormed off to her home without another word, her clipboard hanging loosely by her side like a broken sword. The neighbors started clapping, one slow clap at first. Then a full-on round of applause. Amara didn't even smile. Just said, "Let's finish the kitchen." Asterisk, the next morning, the neighborhood felt ... different. Quieter. Like the air itself was waiting for the next move in some. Karen had retreated, but we knew she wasn't done. People like her don't disappear, they regroup. Sure enough, by lunchtime, we got our first retaliatory strike. A typed notice was taped to our mailbox. Per HOA policy 1-B, all homes must have neutral-colored exterior paint. Your front door is non-compliant and must be repainted within 72 hours. The kicker: our front door was deep navy blue, the same shade as Karen's shutters. Amara read it, then smiled. She's trying to flex ghost rules again, you'd think. That after receiving formal notice of a board challenge, Karen would lay low. Instead, she started doubling down, sending out violation notices to us and a few of the other neighbors involved in the HOA revolt. One neighbor, Tom from across the street, came by that afternoon with a notice in hand. She says, "My lawn gnome violates community aesthetic standards. I've had that gnome for 12 years. Amara laughed. Karen's panicking. That's a good sign. The secret HOA meeting 2 nights later, a secret HOA meeting was held at Karen's house. It wasn't hard to figure out it was the only house with 12 cars awkwardly jammed into the cul-de-sac, including her friend Linda's infamous minivan with the I report violations bumper sticker. Amara didn't go. She didn't need to. She'd already sent formal letters to every member of the HOA detailing Karen's misconduct. Her abuse of emergency services, misuse of community funds, and her expired leadership term. And just for good measure, Amara included a breakdown of the HOA, bylaws highlighting every line that proved the organization hadn't been legally binding for 3 years due to a missed recertification filing. She didn't just bring receipts, she brought the whole cash register, while the Karen Coalition was yelling in a living room down the block. We were sipping tea on our porch with Tom and his wife Lana. "I think you've scared her," Lana said with a grin. First time in a decade, she's been on defense. Amara looked thoughtful. She's scared because her power wasn't real to begin with. It was just that no one ever challenged it. The final blow. Community vote a week later, Amara submitted an official petition to the county with the required homeowner signatures 12 out of the 18 eligible homes to dissolve the HOA entirely and launch a new voluntary neighborhood association. Karen tried to counter with a rebuttal email chain titled "Save Our Streets," accusing Amara of dismantling community order, but it backfired spectacularly. Neighbors began sharing screenshots of Karen's old emails, ones where she had threatened fines for planting the wrong flowers, banned Halloween inflatables, and even once demanded a neighbor remove wind chimes because they were emotionally disruptive. On voting day, the turnout was massive. We hosted it in our backyard neutral ground. People came with folding chairs and lemonade, laughing, relieved to finally be done with whispering about Karen and her clipboard tyranny. Each homeowner cast a sealed vote into a box, monitored by 3 volunteers. The results? 14 votes in favor of dissolving the HOA, 2 against. 2 abstained. Karen stormed out before the final tally, her face pale, her lips a flat line of fury. She didn't say a word. Life after Karenna, month later, the neighborhood transformed. Lawn decorations returned. Kids rode their bikes without being trailed by Karen's watchful gaze. Even the gnome got a fresh coat of paint and a place of honor on Tom's lawn. Karen. She tried to rally support, but without the legal weight of the HOA behind her. She was just another neighbor with a lot of opinions and no authority. Rumor has it, she tried to file a lawsuit. But Amara preemptively sent her a cease and desist, citing harassment and false reporting. That shut things down quickly. The voluntary community group that replaced the HOA was collaborative, kind and drama-free. No power plays, no clipboards, just neighbors helping neighbors. One evening, as we grilled in the backyard, Tom raised a toast to Amara, the HOA slayer. Everyone laughed and cheered. Even the gnome seemed to be smiling. Amara smiled, modest as ever.
Alice.
All I did was remind people that rules don't mean anything if they're not just.
Act.
And that bullies lose power the moment we stop being afraid of them.